Hi, everyone. On this special episode for National Infertility Awareness Week, we have the pleasure of getting to hear from fertility law attorney Molly O'Brien. Molly began working in the field of assisted reproduction technology in 2005 at an egg donation and surrogacy agency, where she became familiar with all aspects of in vitro fertilization, egg donation, and the financial aspects of surrogacy. Molly then went on to pursue her law degree and became an attorney in 2011 and is now an art attorney. Since then, she has drafted hundreds of agreements all over the world and has navigated the industry changes, which we get to discuss. And she has brought such joy to so many, and so much joy has been brought to her as she gets to be a part of making those hopes and dreams come true. Molly is also serving a 2-year term as the president of the Society of Ethics in Egg Donation and Surrogacy, or SEEDS, and we get to further dive into the important work and the standards set by SEEDS and how this is vital to anyone thinking about growing their family in this way or becoming a surrogate or egg donor. This was such a wonderful conversation, and I can't wait for you to hear from Molly. Me, you, and who? Who knew it would take more than 2 people to have a baby? In a world where infertility is no longer a taboo topic, this podcast will take you through all the different aspects of surrogacy and egg donation through the lens of many who walk this journey in different ways. My name is Whitney Hall, and I am a 2-time surrogate, now turned surrogacy coordinator for Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, the very agency I used when I chose to carry for 2 amazing families. With this podcast, it is our goal to help guide and support you as you learn about what it takes to grow a family in an alternative way, as well as hear inspiring and beautiful stories of how this path has changed lives forever. We can't wait for you to hear about just one more way happy families are created every day. Hi, Molly. I am so excited you're here.
I am very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, it is such a joy and a pleasure. And I'm just so thankful that you were able to work us into your busy day amongst all of just the craziness. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So just to start off, you're an attorney. You're an attorney. And art law, I feel like, is such a niche profession, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you even get here?
It's the best legal job anybody could ever have, in my opinion.
I love that. Yes, yes.
It's happy stuff, and we're doing putting good into the world. I feel very good about it. So
I love that. I love that.
I actually worked in the field before becoming an attorney. I worked at an egg donor agency briefly, and then I worked at a surrogacy agency.
And I feel like that's very unique. I feel like that's a very unique, kind of perspective to come from. But yeah, okay, tell me more.
So I was working primarily at the surrogacy agency at this point, and the owners of the agency came to me and they're like, "Hey, have you ever thought about law school?" And I was like 28 years old or 29 years old at the time.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, who gets themselves into crippling debt in their 30s? And they're like, you do. And I'm like, okay.
You do.
But it was kind of one of those things where I was like, you know how sometimes you manifest things and you put them into the universe? So
yes.
I was like, all right, let me start investigating this. Let me take the LSAT. And I did. And things just kind of fell into place. And they were so kind. And I could not have done it without the owners of the agency. So shout out to Bill Handel and Karen Sinezu for that. They basically said you can leave work early every day to go to law school at night. And
wow.
It was great. It was such a good experience too, because having already had the basis of working in this field, I knew I wanted to stay in it.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if I could then take what I've learned working at the agency all these years and transform it into helping parents in in the legal aspects, like that gives, parents a nice kind of cool perspective from their attorney about like what's normal, what's not, and kind of a unique guidance, I think, throughout the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So to go back even just a step further, how did just the world of egg donation and surrogacy even come to be in your world?
Also a funny story. So my undergrad degree is in film production. So I went to school to learn how to produce movies. And it's so interesting because I did that for a little bit, and the same skills I learned are what I use now. So producing,
Ooh.
budgeting, and scheduling a baby, it's like the same. um,
Absolutely.
I was working at a film production company in Los Angeles here, and we shared an office with an egg donation company that I ended up
Mm-hmm.
working for and another
Yep.
law firm. And I kind of was always watching what they were doing. And we were off film project at the time. And I was like, well, I
Sure.
could use a little bit of extra money, you know? So I
I
asked
mean,
if they
yeah.
needed any work done around the office. And so I was doing just some filing of papers and stuff like that at the egg donation agency. And I got a check from a client one day to process. And on the memo line of the check, it said, for our hopes and dreams.
Mm.
And I went, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I think that
Oh
the
my
path just led me
gosh.
to this. And ever since then, I've completely dedicated my life to helping parents and egg donors and surrogates through this process. And it's been the best decision ever. I absolutely love every minute of what I do every day.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
That is amazing. So, oh wow. Wow. That, I mean, you're so right though. It's like, it's those little moments, and it's so, in the seat that I sit in, I feel like you talk a lot about things and it's big picture stuff. And then you see those little memo lines and that
mm-hmm.
little picture, and you're just like, oh, there it is. There's that why, right?
Just today before our meeting, I had a consultation with some clients where it was the first time meeting them, but I felt this like connection. And I know you felt that with people that you meet in this,
Absolutely.
and you're just like, God, I want to help you through this. And I know you feel like you're finally able to give them the hope they've been looking for. And I love that even after I'm just starting my 21st year helping people in this field.
Congratulations.
And I was moved to tears, and I thought to myself, how cool is it that I can still be moved to tears about how awesome what we get to do is 21 years in. Like, how many
Yes.
people, people burn out in a lot of other things, but this is a constantly renewing pleasure to get to
Yeah.
help people.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, how do you feel like, coming from that egg donation surrogacy background and
Mm-hmm.
then going into art law, how do you feel like that's benefited you as an attorney?
I feel like I can offer my clients a little bit more backstory. There's
Mm,
so many attorneys out there who do a totally fine job, but all they do is draft a contract and then kind of they're done.
sure.
Or draft the surrogacy contract or the surrogacy court order, and then that's really just all they do. But I feel like I'm able to really offer a full guidepost for people.
Mm,
Most of the clients that I help are parents. I do also work with egg donors and surrogates, but primarily parents. So
mm-hmm.
when I say client, that's pretty much referring to that.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
and I think that the parents really get a good feeling from knowing that there's somebody just kind of looking out for them and supporting them through the whole thing. Um, from the sideline, because the agency is there to help guide them, but you're not with them the whole time as the agency. I might be with them from the start of the IVF process, and then helping them select an agency, helping them look at surrogate profiles, because that was one of the things I did when I worked at the agency, was looking at surrogate profiles. So you know how it is. Your brain is totally trained to go through surrogates, to look for things that could be really beneficial for this match, or things
Yeah.
that they might want to ask questions about. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, you bring up, I think one thing that's so unique about our agency is that we are with them every step
Yeah.
of the way, from that very
Right.
beginning till that very
Yep.
last hospital bill is paid, and,
Yeah.
beyond. And so I think it's having, that you as that resource as well. It takes a team, right? And
I
I
was
think anything to give
exactly.
somebody that support as they're
Yep.
going through something that they've never done before, right?
And that's what they want. I think that's what a surrogate would want, and that's what the parents would want is, imagine your team around you, your attorney, your doctor, and your agency, and we just kumbaya, we hold hands and
Yes.
we surround them and we just kind of guide them through the whole thing. I mean, that's the ideal journey. You don't want
Yes.
people who are just going to do this thing and then disappear.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So like you said, you shared, you've been in this industry for 21 years. So I know you have seen a lot and a lot of pivot throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
So, as coming from kind of that legal aspect, especially, I feel like, in the last couple of years, we've had a lot of big things, the, Dobbs decision, recently Alabama. There's a lot of questions, I think, around kind of the future of third-party reproduction and law and things like that. Can you kind of give us, at the time of the recording, it's April of 2024. Can you kind of give us an update of where things stands, what that looks like, maybe some of the effects that we're starting to see from that, and maybe any comfort that we can give to people as they're still trying to grow their families?
I think the comfort can be seen in the influx of states that have passed positive laws. So just Michigan, just recently.
Absolutely.
Which was one of the places that was like a huge no-go for years and years and years and years and years, now has a positive surrogacy law. And laws are passed because, a legislator presents a law, and then, people vote and for the legislators, and these things get passed. That's how that happens, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at things like the Dobbs decision, that's not done by your legislator. That's done by a court. And so what I'm saying here is get out and vote, because what we do have control over and where we are seeing positive impacts are from the people, the citizens in those states, passing positive laws, passing, reproductive rights protections. It's the other part that's being harmful to us. It's the courts overturning these decisions. It's the court in the Alabama thing. It's the Supreme Court. That's, I think, the really positive thing we can take from this is that we have a very strong grassroots bunch of people in America who want protections for these things and who want reproductive rights, and contacting your legislators and getting out and voting is the most important thing. And we are seeing positive impacts from it. It is working.
Yeah. Tell me more about kind of what you're seeing. Maybe, obviously Alabama, I know they kind of have the governor signed, kind of for lack of a better word, I would say like a Band-Aid, right? Like it's like things can still move forward. It's not, like that kind of thing. But what are some of those positive things that you're seeing legislatively?
Yeah, well, the Michigan law.
Right, absolutely.
Obviously.
Yes.
As soon as Dobbs happened, some states that I think a lot of people were surprised to see this from, Kansas might be a good example. People immediately went out and passed abortion protection laws. So I think that that's good. And then, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't think of which state it was, but there was a state that recently just went back. A trigger law just happened.
Arizona.
Yes, exactly.
Arizona. Yes.
And so this trigger law now is effective because something else was repealed, right? So this law from the 1800s.
Oh, it was like 1857 or something like that. Yes.
Ridiculous. But then the governor comes out or the attorney general comes out and she goes, I'm not enforcing this. No doctor's going to get sued under this, and no woman's going to get sued under this. That's the positive impact that I'm seeing. And one of the greatest things about having looked at this perspective for so long is that the advocacy is so strong out there. One of the biggest things that we've done as a group of people, particularly in the United States, is we are working towards making discussions of reproductive rights, discussions of fertility, far less taboo than they used to be. People didn't talk about this stuff 15 years ago or 20 years ago, or they were shamed by it. And it's nothing to be shamed of. This is a totally reasonable way to create your family.
Absolutely.
And to create a happy family.
Yes. Oh, thanks, girl. Yes, absolutely. And I know one of the ways that a lot of people can find out more about just some of those things that are being championed are, if you go to Resolve, absolutely. They have a lot, and we will definitely put that in our show notes. And Seeds Ethics has, so for those who don't know, Seeds is the Society of Ethics in Egg Donation and Surrogacy. And you actually are a member and are going to, or you have started your 2-year term as the president.
That's correct.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so
what? Stop. I know exactly what they were thinking. No, I love it. Okay, so for those who don't know, what is Seeds?
Okay.
And, just what is Seeds? What is
So
that?
Seeds was actually born of a group of agencies that got together who, in theory, were competitors. And they said, we're watching a lot of people who are out there and they're going to make a bad name. They're going to
Mm,
start, because they're doing things that are not ethical, that are not cool, for lack of
yeah,
a better term.
sure.
And we probably should put something in place because everybody else who works in this field, by the way, has a professional license. Doctors must, lawyers must, an insurance agent must have proper licenses, right? So why not an agency? But on the
Mm,
other hand, you need to also couple that with, we don't necessarily want the government to be regulating this because
right.
their track record's so good, you know? So shouldn't it come from maybe within? So
Yeah,
this group of
absolutely.
these agency owners got together more than a decade ago
Oh
and
my
they
gosh.
decided to develop this concept. And I mean, the first Seeds meetings were maybe 50 people or 60 people. And
Wow.
it's grown to the fact where we sell out every single time with several hundred. Um,
Mm.
and it's the only reason we're selling out is because the space is too small. We can't fit more people. um, and it's become a group of primarily agencies, but other professionals who are there to talk about the hot button items,
Mm-hmm.
to discuss the right way to do things. I don't think there's a single member of the board of directors of Seeds or the officers team of Seeds that feels like we want to go in there and tell you what to do or tell you what to think. What we want to
Yeah.
do is hear from those who are out in it what needs to be discussed about, what needs to be worked on. And that's when how the Seed standards came up. So a group of everybody in Seeds got together and decided that why don't we come up with some standards for agencies? We don't want to make laws, but we want to make like, hey, if you're going to be a member of Seeds and you're going to be an agency, you should follow these things.
Sure.
And I believe that the owner of your agency is, on the board of
She
directors for Seeds,
is.
so she was
Yes,
part of that
yes.
too. And they came up with really good, reasonable, basic foundations of how to be good to people in this industry.
Yeah.
And then these were voted on by the entire membership and they passed. So one
Mm.
of the cool things about this year and getting to be the president for the first year of this standards being effective is that this is now when we're in the compliance time period. So agencies that want
Mm.
to be members of Seeds are going to have to be compliant with the standards. And I
Yes.
think that that's going to be a huge benefit for this industry because particularly with people living abroad, I think sometimes
Mm.
in the US we forget what a bubble we live in. But this is
Sure.
not normal in other countries. People don't do these things, they don't talk about them, and they look at us like we're selling babies, which obviously we're not.
Right.
And so, having some sort of ethical guidelines for an agency to follow is a lighthouse for these people in other countries going, okay,
Mm.
they are coming from a good place. They are trying to do the right thing. They're not out there to take advantage of parents. They're there to help people. And I'm
Right.
hoping that this starts the rumblings to grow into a bigger, more worldwide acceptance of surrogacy because people can go, okay, this agency that I'm going to work with is a Seeds certified standard agency, whatever it ends up getting
Sure.
called. That gives people some modicum of comfort to know that certain guidelines are going to be followed.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, kind of going back a little bit, I mean, like you said, it's not a regulated industry, and I was actually talking to an intended mom, a while back, and she was talking about that as she just as an intended parent was
Yeah.
trying to discern. There's so many
Yeah.
agencies out there, and they all, a lot of people, especially when you are an intended parent, it's such an emotional process. And a lot of times you're like, time is such a factor. It's such
Mm-hmm.
a factor. And you've gone through so much. And so if an agency is telling you, we're going to get you matched in a week,
Yeah.
or we're going to guarantee you a match, like you're ready, you're moving forward. Um, but you also want to, there's so much more involved in that. And one of the things that she was talking about was, because it's not a regulated industry, what are kind of some of those key steps of finding
Mm-hmm.
out what makes an agency have good standards?
Because anybody can look awesome online. anybody can get fake Yelp reviews. Anybody can do those things to make them look good. And how do you know? How do you know what to trust and who to trust and how to go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So maybe, what are kind of some of those key things that I wouldn't say all of the standards, and, we'll definitely put the Seeds website for those who are interested, but what are maybe some of those key standards as you guys were discerning what made sense for kind of that regulation, if you will, or just those good practices?
Honesty and transparency is the biggest first thing. I think
Absolutely.
so many people can be taken advantage of by their agency without certain disclosures being made about the matching, the name, the true identity of the parties, like things like that. So we did like basic things that I know that you do on a daily basis as an agency, but that other people don't. And if you're just somebody who's deciding to start your first, an agency, and this is your first time kind of delving into this, this is also a good guidepost of where to start with how you should operate your business. So it's a lot of business operations things, too, like record keeping, having business insurance. But for me, I feel like the most important thing is the honesty and disclosures that are required in certain documentation.
Absolutely.
Because everybody needs to have the right to fully consent to every part of this process. And when information is withheld, that is when people can later down the road go, wait, they didn't tell me this. We didn't have a discussion about this. I would not have made that decision if I had known this then. And from a business standpoint, that's when you can get sued. So
yeah, sure.
Benefits all sides here too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's so interesting because, I feel like social media is kind of that double-edged sword of, you can hear everybody's firsthand account of their experience, whether they are a surrogate, an egg donor, an intended parent. A lot of people, like you said, it's definitely not as taboo as it was. I think some people, but it's still a sensitive process that not everybody maybe knows somebody or, that's going through it and things like that. And so you're going to kind of that community that has a little bit of anonymity and things like that. What do you feel like is maybe some of the things that you've seen, again, being in the industry for as long as you've been, and then sitting in the seat that you're sitting, with Seeds? What are maybe some of those things that you are seeing over the years when it comes to kind of that social media piece, and as people are discerning what those best next steps are for them and how they're gathering that information?
Yeah, this is such a good question because it's completely a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I love that we have this as an outlet for a community for intended parents and a community for surrogate moms. It did not exist before. And people can feel safe to discuss some of the difficult things. People can feel safe because not everybody has the support of their own personal community as they go through something like this. And this is it should be a safe community, a safe space for them.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And I think it's also helped surrogates advocate for themselves better. I've definitely seen so many more surrogacy agencies and so many more surrogates and so many more surrogacies in the past 10 years than we did 10 years before that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wonderful and beautiful thing. And that's just because somebody talked about it to somebody and they said, I want to help somebody that way. And so I think that that's a really good positive impact it's had.
Yeah.
There's some negative impacts too. Because I belong to some of these Facebook pages and I see things and I go, oh boy. Like, one of the ones that always just makes me feel a little bit spicy is when I see people say things like, I'm feeling this kind of way. What do you think it is? And somebody will, this is clearly a hematoma, or this is clearly it's just not a contraction, but something like that. And when really you should not be asking medical advice of non-medical professionals.
I would just say in general, whether you're a surrogate or not,
Hey, I missed my shot by 6 hours. Should I just go ahead and double up and take 2 next time? things like that. And then
Oh
people will
gosh.
literally answer those questions online. And I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, I'm watching a breach of contract
Mm.
in real life right now. Because first of all, a surrogate should not be asking those questions of non-medical professionals. And I know that it's in the contract that she should not be doing that. And then following that advice is even more terrifying, because that's when things can really go wrong.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of the double-edged sword of it. There's people who've done this many, many times. They've been surrogates more than once, more than twice. And I think they think that they know a lot more than they might really. And they should not necessarily be dispensing medical advice just because they've been a surrogate 3 times.
Sure, sure. I mean, all you can do is just give your experience, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, this was what I felt during my journey. But in general, I mean, yeah, every doctor, every clinic, they all have their own secret sauce. Every
Right.
nurse, like
That's the
this,
other
I
thing.
mean, yes, exactly. And so
Yeah.
what one journey was is totally different from
Mm-hmm.
another. And I always say, I'm like, talk to your nurses. And in our
Yep.
situation, lean on your coordinator, ask those
Yeah.
questions because you
Right.
should ask those questions. You
Yes.
don't, you're not expected to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that, going back to what you said, having that team that, is surrounding you and
Yeah.
is there to support you, is so important. And of course, I mean, like you said, having that community is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, oh my gosh, you're so right. You're so right.
What I'd
What?
like to see happen with something like that is, a surrogate poses a question online and the answer is, boy, that doesn't sound right to me. You should go talk to the doctor, or you
Mm,
should go talk to your lawyer. Maybe you're not being advocated well, because we want people to listen to their instinct, because obviously somebody's posing questions because something didn't feel right. And that's
yeah.
good. We should encourage that. But
Yes.
it's the responses that make me more nervous than
Yeah,
anything. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to put that. For sure. For sure. So what would you say, just wearing all the hats that you've worn and, the seat that you're sitting in now, what would you say has maybe been some of your just favorite moments about
Oh,
what you do?
okay. I've definitely got one.
Oh, yay.
um, I help a lot of parents that live overseas.
Mm-hmm.
And because we are a minority run agency, with me being female and my partner is a gay male who's had his kids through surrogacy,
Sure.
um, we have a lot of dads that we help. We
Yeah.
obviously we help straight couples too and single people, but we have a lot of gay dads. And I was in France, and I hosted a party and invited all the former parents that I had helped in that little city. And we had a
Oh.
private get together, and I just stood back for a moment and I thought, look at these couples here who now are building relationships with one another. So now they have connections within their town of people who have been through
Mm.
this. And look at all these wonderful children that were born because somebody put so much love out into the world and wanted to do this. And it was just such a nice little moment to look back and get to see
Yes.
the positive end result and all the love that was just
Mm.
vibing in that room. The love the parents had for
Yes.
the babies, the love the parents had for, the people who were at the beginning part of the process who were in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And now they, as
Mm-hmm.
parents who have a child, can turn to those people and go, you're going to be just fine. I was you a year ago. I was you 2 years ago. And I can tell people that until I am blue in the face. But a parent hearing it from a successful parent is the greatest thing to witness, in my opinion, because you can just see the relief just go right off their faces and go, yes, I can do this,
Yes, yes. Well, and again, just that community. Oh my gosh, that must have been just
It was
so
really
beautiful.
fun.
Oh, that must have been so beautiful. It's those little moments because, it is. It's so easy to get overwhelmed by the day to day and,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
putting out fires and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then whenever you do, you get to take a minute to sit back and look at just everything. It's like,
Yep.
wow, wow, we
Mm-hmm.
have the best jobs ever.
We really do.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. So I know it's not all, happy rainbows and sunshine. There are those kind of, fires,
Mm-hmm.
that have to be put out and things like that. What would you say is maybe one of the harder parts of your job? The part that you're kind of like, I really gotta,
Pregnancy loss.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
For me, it always hits hard,
yeah.
especially when it's later. And
Mm.
I don't know if it happens with you guys too, but it seems to like happen in chunks where we'll
I
get
feel
2
like it
and
comes in
3
waves.
in a
Yes.
row, and then everything will be really, really good for like 6 or 7 months, and then we'll have like another 2, and it's just like, And it's so interesting because like everybody in my office is affected by this.
Yeah.
It's like because we get so attached to the parents we're helping. You know how it is, and
Mm-hmm.
you get the first ultrasound where they have like the heartbeat thing,
Yes.
and you're just part of that cheerleading squad, and then to find out 6 weeks or 8 weeks later that something has happened, your heart breaks with them. It really
Mm-hmm.
does.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think it's the late term pregnancy losses that,
Yeah.
or any pregnancy loss, but particularly those that are just devastating.
Absolutely. No, I could
Yeah.
not. I could not agree more. I could not agree
Yeah.
more. And I think, just hearing that from you, hearing, just about, your office and that cheerleading squad aspect, again, that just reinforces that whole idea of working with individuals that don't see you as a number, that
Yeah.
don't see you as just one more person signing a
Mm-hmm.
piece of paper or things like that is
Yeah.
so, so important to anybody out there who is
Mm-hmm.
discerning if this is the best next step for you as you're
Mm-hmm.
either wanting to be a surrogate or building your family this way,
Mm-hmm.
or, things like that, having that. And you're going to know that feeling. You're going to know that feeling whenever you're building that
Yeah.
team.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just so important. And I love that we get to work with you, Molly. I love it so
I love it with you guys too.
what would you say, to any potential intended parent, and gestational carrier and egg donor? What would you say is maybe, something that they should, like, a key takeaway or something that they should know, whether it's kind of just thinking about a contract
Mm-hmm.
or before they begin the process? What do you feel like is kind of that major thing, or maybe just a couple of major
Transparency.
things? Transparency. Absolutely.
Transparency.
Oh my gosh.
I
What does that mean to you?
so it means a couple things, but usually at the beginning part of the process, when a surrogate is looking at which agency she wants to work with, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of agencies out there that use unethical tactics to get
Mm,
surrogates to apply to their agencies, which is part of what the
mm,
state standards are triggered to help prevent. So,
yeah.
for example, it would be advertising a certain base fee that is not really the base fee to try and
Oh,
attract
interesting.
surrogates, and not explaining that fee that they're saying you're going to get is actually your base fee, but also all these other things that might or might not be included.
Sure,
And
sure. So
so,
for those who don't know, there's like a base fee, but then a lot of times there's other things like your mileage is reimbursed,
yeah,
and
housekeeping,
there's housekeeping if you're on bed rest,
childcare,
and lost
yeah.
wages and
Mm,
childcare. There's a breakdown
yeah,
of it. It's not just a lump sum, if you
right.
will.
So an agency might advertise make up to $120,000, and
Uh-huh.
I that's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, that's not really transparent, you know.
Sure.
It's kind of like, and I think that a lot of people don't know how to filter through that.
Uh-huh.
And that can be really challenging because that those same agencies are advertising to parents like our surrogates are only getting this low fee. So
Oh,
while they're advertising the high
interesting.
side to get the surrogate in, they're doing something on the low side to get the parent in, and it's transparency is the key. And so I always would
Yeah.
recommend to a surrogate to talk to more than one agency so that you get perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's really important. Definitely look at reviews. You know,
Absolutely. Well, and again,
yeah,
there's that positivity of that
yeah,
social media. There are those review groups that are so helpful.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, and then same for intended parents. What would you say is kind of that key takeaway that as they discern this process, whether it's maybe they're concerned with a contract or,
Yeah.
or just things like that?
I would say make sure that the professionals that you've hired, because the parents are the ones who are the ones hiring the agency and hiring the lawyer and hiring the doctor, make sure that they're taking the time to really explain things to you.
Mm,
I think that
yes.
parents really have that right. And sometimes they don't always exercise it. And they're just like, oh, well, my agency just told me to trust them.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you
Mm-hmm.
have a question, it should be answered and explained to you. And um, I don't mind taking an hour going through a contract with parents if they have questions because their questions are legitimate.
Absolutely.
They need to feel good about this process. And I think for both sides, and even us as professionals, our gut instinct is going to drive a lot of the success of things. If
Mm,
something doesn't feel right, it's not going to start feeling better the deeper you get into it. So
Sure.
people should really listen to their gut instinct. And if it doesn't feel like the right lawyer for you or the right doctor or the right agency or the right match, it's okay to stop and say, I need to take a breather. Maybe this isn't right for me. Have a think on it and then change your mind, because I think a lot of parents are afraid to maybe move forward with break a match with a particular surrogate because
Mm-hmm.
maybe they don't feel great about it, because they think, oh, well, am I going to have to wait another 9 months to get matched? Is it going to cost me a lot more money? I'll just settle for this.
Right. That
And it's
timing.
really, yeah. And it's
Yeah.
not a good match for the surrogate. It's not a good match for the parents. And it's not going to start to feel better for them.
Mm.
And I think people need to be willing to sacrifice a little bit of the their want to move forward quickly for maybe the knowledge that it's okay to have it take a couple months longer if it's going to be that much better for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Well, and it's so hard. It's so hard. But I think, again, what you said in the beginning, just that transparency, an agency is going to take the time to
Mm-hmm.
hear you and hear those concerns. And of
Yeah.
course, hiccups happen,
Yeah,
right? But
it
the
happens every
goal
time.
is they happen all the time.
Yeah.
But the goal is that you're feeling good
Yeah.
before you even get into
Yeah. It's a
the
human process.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. No, that is so good. That is
This is not widgets, as they say in law
this
school.
is
Everything used to be like, widgets. And it's like, this is not that. This is a human baby we are trying to all create together. This is a very human process, and there will likely be human error along the way. And you
mm-hmm.
just should treat everybody like humans.
Yes. Yes. And again, I think that is such an important key takeaway for anybody in this process. Do not ever feel like you're a number, because if you do, that's a red flag. That's a red
Mm-hmm.
flag. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
so important to have that good team around you. Okay. So, my last question for you, Molly,
Uh-oh.
and this is a fun one.
Okay.
For anyone who knows me, they know that I have a very codependent relationship with coffee. And so I always love to ask, what filled your cup this morning? Literally
Mm.
or figuratively, what was the thing that filled your cup?
Okay, so I'm going to do both literal and
Oh, let's do
figurative
it.
for you. So I'm also a big coffee junkie, and I actually
Yes.
ship my coffee in from Maine. I will send you the link. So
Oh,
it's
yes,
the
ma'am.
best coffee in the whole United States. Because first of all, in America, we don't know how to do coffee. The
Oh,
Europeans know how to do coffee. Like,
okay. I love
in my
this. I
opinion,
love this. Oh,
I'm a
no.
total
Yes,
coffee
please.
snob.
Oh my God. I love
So
it. Bring it.
when I was in high school, there was this small coffee shop in my hometown, and like one of my best friends happened to work there. And there's this blend of coffee that she was actually post high school able to track down, and she messaged me like maybe 15 years ago, and she's like, hey, by the way, I found, it's called Coffee Express. She's like, I found Coffee Express coffee. It's being sold out of Maine, and now I literally like buy 10 bags at a time and ship it in. So that fills my cup every morning. It's Coffee Express
I love
Yankee
it.
Doodle blend.
Oh my gosh, this passion. I love this passion.
I take my
Yes.
coffee very seriously too.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. All right, I'm going to have to look this up. Absolutely
And
going to have
then
to
the
look this up. Yes.
figurative one
Yes.
was the parents I met with this morning before
Yes.
talking to you. It was
Yeah.
that moment where I was like, I am so glad that I can still be moved to tears in a positive way about getting to help people.
Mm,
And that just
mm.
my soul went, hello, it's Friday.
Hello, it's a Friday. Oh, I love that. I love that so much, Molly. Oh my gosh. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything that you do for,
Thank you for having me. It's so great to get to talk to somebody who's enthusiastic and loves this stuff. You guys are fantastic, and
oh, thank
I'm honored to
you.
be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, again, we're so grateful for everything that you do with our, shared clients, and it is just such an honor to work with you, and just like you said, share that passion, not only just for the good stuff, but also all of the things that we want,
Mm-hmm.
all of the good that is
Yep.
in there. So thank you, Molly, so
Thank
much.
you.
I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Me, You, and Who podcast. We appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed our discussion today. As we wrap, we would like to remind you of some of the ways to stay connected with us and be part of the Me, You, and Who podcast community. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode and can stay up to date with our latest content. But that's not all. We also have an exciting YouTube channel where we share some bonus content, behind the scenes glimpses, and video versions of our episodes. Head over to your YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button there as well. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the new episodes go live. For more exclusive updates, engaging discussions, and a chance to connect with fellow listeners, be sure to follow us on our social media accounts. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Egg Donor and at Surrogate Solutions. As a friendly reminder, the podcast is made possible by Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions. If you're interested in creating a happy family, visit www.createahappyfamily.com to learn more information. Again, thank you for being part of the Me, You, and Who community. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and join us next time as we share journeys of creating happy families.